Welcome everyone to Beer Protocol. My name is James, and I am drinking rum and coke because I don't have any beer in the house.
For today's episode of Beer Protocol, I picked up from Old Busthead in Virginia their holiday peppermint caramel macchiato stout.
That sounds freaking delicious.
It is a stout made with peppermint and cocoa bean extract. It is very sweet.
And if you're wondering why I look
It's
very
very sweet.
yellow, is because I have a different light going on because my light apparently is not working.
Also, James has been getting ready for painting our favorite yellow boys, Wolverine and Sabretooth, to hit the table,
So much
and
yellow.
he's just been ingesting the yellow.
Okay, so I have a question for you. First off, clink.
Clink.
Is Sabretooth
Digital clink.
is Sabretooth wearing a costume, or is that actually his fleshy bits?
Well, if you look at his face in the official art on Sabretooth's card, he is paler than all of the skin tone around him. So yes, that is a costume.
So he just decided to dress up and just be like, "This is how I'm gonna go."
Sabretooth is basically Bigfoot with a known personality trait.
And that personality trait is murder.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Sabretooth, expanding from our last episode on the Wolverine.
I've not looked at him, so this is gonna be completely fresh coming into this.
As always, I find your professionalism refreshing.
Up
I tease, you're fine.
until like maybe 10 minutes ago, I was buying Harry Potter ornaments for the tree. So watch it.
I mean, that's taking care of your household first. We haven't even put our tree up yet. I keep on hinting at it, but things get in the way. All right, so Sabretooth, Victor Creed. What do we know about Sabretooth's history in the X-Men comics?
He's also Weapon X.
Yeah, he was another member of the Weapon X program. This is completely off the top of my head, by the way. I actually forgot to look up Sabretooth like I've done for some of our other characters. Because Sabretooth is, in my mind, a relatively flat character. He exists to piss off Wolverine.
Basically, so if I remember correctly from, because there's a bunch of different, it's Marvel, so there's a bunch of different things. But basically, have you ever watched Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No.
Really? Where like Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I think it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. But basically, in the Weapon X, he like Wolverine is kind of like, the, oh man, we did awesome, he did great, this is perfect. Sabretooth, you're a close second. All right, cool. Wolverine.
We're being real close.
So basically, that's Sabretooth, is that he's pissed off that he's not as good as Wolverine. And that's pretty much it.
Well, all right then.
But in Marvel Crisis Protocol, he's a badass.
That is a solid idea.
So with 6 health on his healthy side, with a long move, him being 3 height and 4 threat.
Height or size?
Size.
Similar, but different.
He's big.
Yeah, so Sabretooth is 4 threat. So that means he's going to need to pull his own weight because we're officially past the point where you could just throw a character in.
Yep.
At 4 threat, you have a plan.
Guess what his plan's
6 health
gonna be.
and 3 defenses. Yeah, what is his plan, James?
His plan is going to be slash that person and hurt him hard.
Solid plan. He has 3 defense across the board for all types, and he has 6 health, so he's relatively sturdy. He's not likely to go down in 1 hit. 2 or 3 big hits are probably going to be needed. His first attack is the Claw Slash. Physical. Well, Sabretooth is all physical. There's actually been, in recent releases, Web Warriors, X-Men to some extent, and Brotherhood. There's a lot of physical attacks.
Yeah.
X-Men has more energy attacks between Cyclops and Storm. But there's actually just been physical was always relatively common, but in like the core set, energy was also really common given the people involved. Currently, the game, I think meta is swinging slightly towards physical, but Defenders exist to make that not an actual true statement. Defenders will be whatever it wants to be.
I mean, I think it's pretty much everything is going to swing physical because that's pretty much everything in, like, at least all superheroes are walking up and punching somebody. There's very few that are just like, oh no, I'm just gonna sit here and just shoot you with stuff. So, but yeah, Claw Slash at a 2 range, because once again, it's just basically a reach out and touch you.
Pure melee.
5 dice, not bad for a 0 cost. But
After it's resolved, the character gains power equal to the damage dealt, standard 0 cost attack.
the text block.
And if you get a wild, you get bleed and pierce. As a quick reminder, bleed means the target will take 1 damage at the end of their activation, which is not a huge as far as status elements go, but it is nice. Free damage is free damage. Bleed also, I believe, doesn't trigger gaining power for it.
No. It's
So
just, it's an
that's
after
handy.
effect. Yeah.
And pierce is always really useful, unless you're going against someone that could use those blank dice. Which, since good old Sabertooth is exclusively at range 2, every character with martial artist will be guaranteed to have it. So
Yep.
Sabertooth right off is not necessarily any worse against martial artists, which are now a lot more common than they used to be. But I think it's worth noting he's not really any better. Martial artists can no-sell some of his attacks a little more easily than others. So if you're doing target prioritization, maybe, unless you need to, leave them for last.
I think he's going to have a little bit of a problem with the martial artists and anything that's going to be taking blanks as defense.
Because they tend to be tanky in general, and his usual method of mitigating that is not effective.
Yeah.
His powerful attack, Savage Predator, range 2, 7 dice, cost 4. The 4 there automatically makes me like this less than Berserker Barrage and Wolverine, because having played a few more games recently, 3 is actually a pretty easy number to hit. It leads to feeling powerful. 4 is a little harder. But, James, what does Savage Predator do if you somehow are blessed by the dice gods?
Well, seven dice is pretty dang powerful there. And if you get a wow, if you have to get a wild and something else, what is it?
It looks like a wild and a hit if I lead in real close. Yeah.
A wild and a hit, which is interesting. Because usually, like Claw Slash, if you don't actually do any damage, but you roll a wild, like they're still getting bleed. This you actually have to have a wild and a hit. After this attack is resolved, this character may make a Claw Slash attack. This character may reroll any number of dice during that attack. So
cool. More attacks.
Yeah, if it's you're more than likely on 7 dice going to get this, but don't count. Like once again, don't count for 100% for sure. If you have 4 power, even if you don't have 4 power, if somehow if you have 1 power from the start of the round, and say you're lucky and you get 3 power from Claw Slash, you can do Savage Predator, throw 7 dice, and possibly have another Claw Slash on top of that.
It's nice. So, that's it for his attacks. His first superpower, No Mercy, for 3. During the next attack this character makes this turn, add 1 die to its attack roll for each damage the target character has to a maximum of 3. I just now realized I played this wrong when I was testing out Sabertooth. This is looking at how much damage the target has, not Sabertooth.
Oh yeah.
So
wait,
Wolverine.
You were playing it the opposite way.
How much damage Sabertooth had? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
So that's my mistake. Anyway, now that's out there for everyone to hear. Edit this out. This is interesting because this one is specifically rewarding you for going after characters who are weakened and already low on dice. Maximum 3 is pretty good, but that does mean that Claw Slash could potentially become a 0 cost 8 dice attack against someone who's taken a few hits. So I could definitely see turns where Sabertooth walks up and has the energy for Savage Predator, but instead chooses to go for No Mercy and Claw Slash. And then if you make a power off of Claw Slash, do No Mercy and Claw Slash again.
Yeah.
Because there's no limit how many times per turn you can do No Mercy.
Yeah, it's not an action.
So that's a solid toss-up. If you have 4 power floating, maybe you just go into No Mercy, which is actually more dice, but you don't have the 50% chance of a free attack.
I
don't know. It's pretty good. It's going to be situational.
I'm weighing the options because, yes, okay, say I have 4 energy. Would I spend it for No Mercy? Okay, I can see a couple of ways of basically saying this is better than this. I can see if like you're going after Hulk, and Hulk has like half his health, because at that point, No Mercy is insanely awesome.
It's max 3. Max 3.
Never mind. I don't think I'd ever use this. I would.
I think you're flat out wrong, but go ahead.
I mean, unless I have 3 power as it is, if I have 3 power as it is and I can't do Savage Predator first, or I do Claw Slash and I have 3 power instead of 4, I might do No Mercy to go ahead and do another Claw Slash. But if I have 4 power, screw it. I'm just gonna go with Savage Predator and have a possibility of doing, more damage.
I mean, potentially you're right. I like the wild effects on Claw Slash more than Savage Predator. Free attacks are good, but that requires 2 symbols where I need just 1 wild for Pierce. And I think especially if you're using No Mercy to finish someone, Pierce is way more consistent than hoping for free attacks.
The Pierce is nice, but once again, I don't know. This seems to be a case of I don't have 4 power, I just have 3.
Fair enough. Untamed Force is his second superpower. After an attack against this character, being Sabertooth, is resolved, it can use this superpower. If the attacker is within 2, this character may make a Claw Slash attack targeting the attacker. This superpower can be used only once per turn. James, I want to point something out to you.
Oh my god. Hold on.
No Mercy is not during Sabertooth's activation. It just says this turn. So yes, you can pay 2 to get your Untamed Force attack and then No Mercy during your opponent's turn.
So after the attacker is resolved, I can spend 2 points. So after the attacker is resolved, which means I've got power. So if you've hit me with 6 freaking health, and a healing factor of 1, okay, you've hit me.
There.
You've hit me on average maybe 3 power. So I gain 3 power. I now go ahead and spend 2, do Untamed Force. I won't be able to, flat out, if I just have 3 power on me, I won't be able to do the No Mercy. But you are correct at this point. If I'm sitting on power, and I'm sitting on an objective, and I know my opponent's just like, I have to get you off this objective, and they run up, and they go, if I hit you, you're going to hit me back with a No Mercy, and I'm going to take lots of damage, and I might not get my second attack off. This is not probably a good idea. So,
what I'll also point out to make your galaxy brain explode a little harder is his next superpower is passive aggressive. After an attack targeting this character resolved, if this character suffered damage, it can advance short toward the attacking character. James,
hold on.
You can move, then Untamed Force for your 2 attack.
Do you have somebody around that has the counter attack wording? Does counterattack say
counterattack is not an attack? So
not
characters
attack.
like Black Widow who have a superpower that deals damage after they're attacked, this would not trigger aggressive. But you know what would trigger aggressive? Say your opponent's like, oh, Sabretooth can only Untamed Force and attack me back if I'm within 2. I'll stand at 3. Haha, take that, nerd. Sabretooth's like, okay, you hit me. Aggressive. I move short. You're within 2 now. Untamed Force. Because Untamed Force says after attacks against this character resolve, it may use it if the attacker is within 2. Not if the attacker was within 2 when they attacked.
A lot of the stuff is after the attacker is resolved, which as the player of that character gets to determine the order. So yeah, you could move forward now. Go cool. I know it's Untamed Force.
Yes, Untamed Force has a much wider counter attack radius than it looks like. Because I think Sabretooth is on a slightly larger base than normal. So his short movement is deceptively big.
So, okay, let's look. Okay, he has a healing factor of 1. You just heal 1.
Okay, there's this entire front card. We've covered it. Go look it up.
now let's look at the back. He's
Does
6
anything change?
long. Nope, nope, nope. Still the same, still the same. No mercy looks like the same. Untamed force is the same. Aggressive is the same. Cool.
Yep, he is the
Okay.
same. Okay, we can now discuss Sabretooth's entirety now that the
Here,
picture is clear.
yes. Here is my thoughts on just looking at the way he is, not playing him because I know you've done more.
I have played Sabretooth in one game.
I want to not use power on his turn at all.
100%. That's another reason I think Savage Predator is a trap.
um,
Somewhat. So, I mean, to be fair, if you just got dazed and you flip over, and Sabretooth is in the middle of a pack with like 8 power, yeah, use Savage Predator. Heck, use No Mercy and Savage Predator.
well, okay,
Get
so
more dice to make it more likely to trigger the free attack.
yeah, so Savage Predator does not say once a turn. So you could do Savage Predator. You could do Savage Predator, then attack something else with Claw Slash within 2, then do Savage Predator again and attack again with Claw Slash. So
Or if you're particularly deviant and you have all the power in the world, do not boost Savage Predator.
yeah, just
Get your wild, get your extra attack, because basic hit is more common than exclamation point. So again, I think Savage Predator will trigger finisher maybe half the time.
oh
Use
god,
Savage Predator, get the second Claw Slash, use No Mercy to boost the second Claw Slash on the same target that you just hopefully injured with Savage Predator. Use the bigger dice pool to get more power back from your power generating Claw Slash, and then use Savage Predator again.
yeah, yeah.
I think there's a really important reason why Untamed Force specifically says Claw Slash.
He is a combo monkey. But I'm really not wanting to use him on his activation very much. I want him sitting on basically like 7 power.
Um, it's really interesting to me. So we've seen aggressive one other place on Crossbones. Here he is. Look at the. See if I can get him in front of my face so he doesn't disappear. Look at the little bastard.
Look at that unpainted model.
Hey, fight me. Crossbones, though, had aggressive paired up with a short movement. Sabretooth has a long movement. Sabretooth is in your face like as soon as he wants to be, and aggressive means he's never going to leave. You can throw Sabretooth. That will not trigger aggressive because
Correct.
aggressive is after an
Correct.
attack. Yeah, so Sabretooth's going to be in the middle of the fight almost constantly. Now, if anything else this game, you could do target prioritization. Hey, James, I am one step ahead of you. Do you know who would love to have Sabretooth around?
Well, Magneto just handing out power.
Nope, Red Skull. Hail Hydra onto Sabretooth, triggering his counter.
So oh my god, and also like because it's the end of your attack per turn. So like it's not your turn anymore, so he's just gaining all this power from just wounding you. Oh my god. Yeah, yeah, no. He's definitely so
I
like
think we have actually found the person I agree with you the most should be paired
Cousin
with Red
Paul.
Skull. Granted, though, Sabretooth wants to be in like the middle of the fight, and Red Skull does not. So there's some tension there.
I mean, the problem with I see with that is there's gonna be a lot of the like the aggression, like the long movement and the aggressive is going to pull you out of Hail Hydra range pretty quick.
Yeah.
Now
Maybe you move Red Skull into melee at that point.
is there a way, is there a combat card or something that says give this person like this person can take a hit for this person?
I don't know off the top of my head. Venom has a specific card that does that exact
yes.
thing.
But I don't think
Because
there's a
Venom
generic.
also has a counterattack. I don't know if there is a generic bodyguard card. If there is, Sabretooth would be a great target for it.
Yeah. I do see I see him. Yeah. You ever see those fights where like somebody walks up and slaps somebody and then it stands in their face and goes, hit me, hit me, hit me. That's why I see Sabretooth. He's gonna walk up and kind of pop you in the face a few times, and then it's just be like, come on, hit me. What are you gonna do? And you're gonna go, bink, and he's just gonna maul you.
So that is a thing that will happen. I agree. I don't know necessarily if Sabretooth. So Sabretooth has a big health pool. He has okay, solid defenses. and he has healing factor to heal a little bit. Otherwise, he actually doesn't have any defensive tech.
No, no.
So Sabertooth is not that sturdy. 6 health. 6 health will go away in like 2 bad rolls.
See,
Two bad
that's
defense rolls and 6 health. 6 health is gone.
but he's still 6 health. Like I see, like
And I'll point out, even there are still characters in this game who can hit fairly hard from range 5. And if Sabertooth's getting hit at range 5, even with aggressive, he's still not getting within counterattack range.
yeah. You can use that. So it's an advanced short. So you could do things like move behind terrain. You could do like a bunch of other stuff like that. I don't see that being effective. So
Because it's also worth noting, Sabertooth is size 3.
he's size 3.
So a lot of average sized terrain will not provide him cover.
Right. Hiding behind a car is not going to do much for you.
Unless it's like a truck, like a size 3 truck will still give him cover.
Now,
But like using aggressive to move into cover as you advance the table is good. Sabertooth also doesn't have wall crawler or any sort of other terrain mitigation, so he still needs to use a short movement stick to move through terrain. Since aggressive is already a short movement stick, you could also use that to cheese your way through terrain a little bit. But if you don't completely clear the terrain, then you're going to be restricted to a short movement for your actual turn, which is bad given his usual long.
he's going to be a problem because with 6 health he is, and all this counter ability, he seems like you're going to want to have him out there, and I feel like it's going to be a trap. I feel like if you throw him out there, people are like immediately just throw him out there with his super ungodly long move. He's gonna get blasted away. He's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Use
My
him.
recommendation. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, use him as kind of like a cat stalking you. Like spend like a round or two getting in position where a long move is going to do some amazing work. But kind of like keep him back a little bit, and then when you have the chance, that's when you pounce. I mean, even if you're running with Magneto, and even if you have him jump on turn 2, you've already got 2 power from just being round 1 and round 2. You're probably going to get another 2 power because round 1, round 2, Magneto's going to be blowing up terrain. If you're using Brotherhood Mutants, I'm no need to preface to that. So you're going to be sitting on like 4 power round 2. At that point, I can see you doing like a pounce maneuver, like running up and doing Savage Predator and then hitting somebody twice and getting some more power back with Claw Slash, and then just being in the thick of things. Use them kind of like an assassin.
I'd say I have similar ideas for how best to utilize them, where I'd say round 1, have Sabertooth go get one of the exterior objectives, depending on the crisis. If there's a secure objective that's out on the edge of the board on the sides, grab it. If there's a round 1 extract or secure or control point, grab it. But by round 2, Sabertooth needs to be attacking round 2 for the simple reason I feel like he's 4 threat.
Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anybody who would benefit from friggin' hammers, it's Sabertooth.
But for spending 4 threat for Sabertooth, like he's got to start doing work for you. Like he can't stay on the fridge for too long.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to utilize him turn 2. If you're stretching it turn 3, Sabertooth is going to be your counter if somebody decides to do the Hulk Thor throw. Where now Thor is like in the middle of everyone, just punish him for being there.
I think where Sabertooth is particularly valuable to you is if he's taken a few hits, and either through healing factor or from being dazed flipping over, he has a big energy pool. He can now just kind of go and try to finish people off with no mercy. Like he can try to close out injured components. Like I've seen several times where I know my opponent has someone sitting on 3 out of 6. It's something like that with good defenses, and I'm just like, I have to focus fire them before he gets on the turn, or he'll use Med Pack or Doctor Strange's heal, and it'll put that outside of where I can deal with it. So Sabertooth would be a useful piece there to just kind of give you a little extra security for clinching it out. Again, No Mercy really depends on the health values of targets around Sabretooth, which is not something. You have more control than anyone else over the health values of your opponent's pieces.
Yeah.
But if the timing isn't right, like if Sabretooth is surrounded by full health people, then his combat potential is not as high.
Now, I can also see him being a runner.
Anyone with long movement can be a runner.
Yeah.
I just think unless it happens like towards the end of an objective, towards the end of a game, being able to pick up some extract crisis tokens and just run away.
I wonder how he would
Go
work
to
in
the other end of the
Syndicate.
board is powerful.
I really wonder how he would work in Syndicate, where it's just like, Sabretooth starting to get a little bit low. You really want to use his healing factor. Syndicate just passes him off a objective, and then he books it out.
You could, but if that's really what you want, I think there's better pieces for it.
I mean, I can still see Sabretooth being really good in Syndicate.
Oh yeah. Most things are good in most lists. Bless this game for being a relatively well balanced game.
Oh, that's not true. I don't see him being in Guardians of the Galaxy at all.
Mostly because his role is taken by cheaper models that do it as well. Sabretooth, I think, is a really great counterpunch piece, but like most counterpunch pieces, if your opponent just chooses to ignore him, or if your opponent, because how does Sabretooth make himself enough of a threat that your opponent attacks him and triggers all of his counterattack?
Giving him an objective that's giving him a point every single friggin' round.
Yep. But if you have, like, say you have like a game I recently played where you have 5 extraction tokens on the board, Sabretooth has 1, and another one of your opponent's models has 1, it's probably easier just to kill the other one and take it. So
I do see.
I think big part of the play is going to be what you need to do is to take advantage of Sabretooth to the fullest. Is you need to position him in a place where your opponent can't ignore him.
Now he doesn't have any throws.
No.
He has 0 throws, 0 pushes, other than him moving himself. That's kind of good with, say, like Magneto's Brotherhood of Mutants, because Magneto wants to blow stuff up. Magneto wants to throw things. Sabretooth not being able to throw stuff, not being able to like destroy terrain, kind of fits in really well with that, because you don't want him actually destroying terrain.
Kind of. I've only played Brotherhood a little bit to try them out. My impression was Magneto has so many things he wants to spend power on. I wanted every other model on my list to be able to trigger terrain destruction so that Magneto doesn't have to.
So maybe not
because power that Magneto is spending specifically to trigger giving out power. So that's a losing game for Magneto, because Magneto can only give himself 1 power, and he's spending 1 plus power for everything he throws.
That's true.
So Magneto's just bleeding energy if all of your power is coming, if all of your terrain destruction is coming out of Magneto.
Are we thinking maybe possibly that at at 4 threat that he might be better being replaced by somebody else?
If you're playing Brotherhood, I think he has some interesting options. I think Magneto being able to supply him with power using terrain destruction is cool. I think he's an interesting piece with good counterplay potential, which I thought was kind of neat. It forces your opponent to think a little bit more, and it lets you make interesting scenarios for your opponent. Like, having recently played Venom again, it reminds me of that.
Okay.
Where he's scary. Like, Sabretooth on his own is scary, even if No Mercy isn't a factor. Like, if your opponent has full health, Sabretooth still has a 5 dice basic attack with bleed and pierce. Like, a few lucky dice rolls, and he can down most characters with 2 claw slashes, never mind a savage predator. So,
I mean, it's making him a target. Yep,
that comes down to playing the scenario. Like, I think Sabretooth is one of the characters similar to Taskmaster and Venom, where they need to be a nuisance to your opponent to get the most out of their counter abilities. So having him hanging out near objectives, especially with aggressive.
Yeah.
Aggressive means that once he's on an objective, he is hard to dislodge it. Like, your opponent has to use non-attacks, like power-based throws or other things in order to keep him off the point. So that kind of comes down at that point to what can your opponent do.
Yeah, throws and basically having him thrown and having things thrown at him are going to be the problem because everything's based off attacks. So yeah, that's the way of getting around Sabertooth.
All right, so Sabretooth has 2 tactics cards off the top of my head, which are directly related to him. One we looked at with Wolverine, Weapon
Mhm.
X. You spend 3 power to throw Sabretooth short. He does not suffer damage if he collides with a character or terrain. So similar to Black Panther's Pounce, to give Sabretooth a pounce, it's actually really good.
I mean,
Like, it's
eh,
good for Wolverine. It's good for. To be
it's
fair, even if nothing else, it's another short move on a tactics card.
yes,
And
but
Sabretooth is size 3, so that's a 4 damage collision.
that is true.
So you could even open with this if you if you have like the magical wonderland of 6 power. You could open with Weapon X program to put damage on your opponent, and now you have something for No Mercy to chain off of.
That is a good scenario because now you're even if you do a damage, you're going to be doing an extra die. Yeah,
Um, so I think Weapon X program, like Pounce in general, is a really good ability on Black Panther or anyone else where it appears. It's a little disappointing to have it on a once per game tactics card, but it's a strong, if anything, like 4 damage that your opponent has to deal with, especially against some characters who don't have strong throw defenses. Pretty good. Even even better if me spending 3 power forces my opponent to burn Brace for Impact. That could also be good if you have a team with lots of throws and other collision type damage.
that's true.
As you can force your opponent's hand. His other tactic card that I found doesn't mention him by name, but again, Wolverine and Sabretooth are the only people currently who can use it, is Exceptional Healing. When an allied character with the healing factor superpower would be damaged by an enemy effect, it may spend 3 power to play this card. Reduce the amount of damage suffered to 1. Real important,
So like,
reduced to 1, not by 1.
so if like Hulk walks over and just nukes you, or like Red Skull gets off the amazing blast, you can just be like, card.
Yep, and then Sabretooth is like, that tickled all of my counter abilities.
It's that thing where he turns away, turns back, and there's like this half of the skull, and it's just starting to reform the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
I would take that one. That's for 3 power,
Yep.
and especially since Sabretooth wants to be sitting on tons of power to do the counterattacks. Like it's the oh, you just did 6 damage to me. Oh,
Now, granted,
card.
this is before resolve, so Sabretooth would
Mhm.
only get 1 power.
Right.
So it will not be enough on its own to give you enough power to play Untamed Force. So, I mean, if it's still worth just saying Sabretooth doesn't flip, or is it knocked out with a tactics card? Probably a good use of tactics card.
Yeah, where
Like
everyone
everyone,
you have that one turn where somebody dumps in, like I don't know, where Killmonger jumps across the table and some other bunch of stuff from Wakanda, and you're just like taking like 30 points of damage from Killmonger. Yeah, I can see just be pissing off Jake
yeah.
by putting that card down, just being like, yeah,
Um, the way I kind of think of it is like MedPack is a thing that's taken in a lot of lists to the point where it's now on the restricted list. And MedPack is pay 2 to heal 3.
mm-hmm,
This is potentially pay 3 to heal or negate anywhere from
yeah,
like any amount of damage almost. So if you are playing Wolverine or Sabretooth, I think it's worth considering exceptional healing. Especially Sabretooth because he has counter abilities which are greatly benefited by him not dying.
yep. Because you can still gotta remember, um, even though you didn't take all that damage, you still had an attack against you, so now you're not going to get all the power from that. You're still going to get the 1 power, but
Yeah.
um, you still have now the ability just to just wail on somebody.
Yep. And if there's anything I like in this game, it's giving your opponent bleed during their own activation. So there's basically no time for them to do anything about it.
Yeah,
So it's just going to be like, oh, okay, cool, have another damage.
dude, passing out status effects on other people's turns is just too much fun.
Okay, I think that's pretty much what we had for Sabretooth. Thank you
Yeah,
guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or if you have other ideas or comments about this character in Marvel's Crisis Protocol, go ahead and hit us up in the comments. And if we have any particularly good ones pointing out things we missed, we'll bring them up in the next episode.
Which we
James,
actually we do. We got a couple.
okay.
We did mess up a little bit on Magneto. Um, we said that that you could move. You had to move forward, which is incorrect. Incorrect. Incorrect.
So for
Incorrect.
Magneto's basic attack, it says if your opponent is 3 away and are not within 2, essentially, you can advance them short. If I remember correctly.
Correct. You can. So you can
Sorry, you
advance,
can push them
push
short.
short, which is in a direction.
Right.
So
We had
you.
messed up on that one before and
Yep.
said push away.
The
In this case, this is any direction you want, but because it is a push, it follows the rules for pushing and not advancing.
right.
Which means, as a reminder, you do need to move them the full distance, and they stop moving if they hit anything.
Correct. So the other thing we got, we I think we did talk about this, and I think we did correct it a little bit. So cover for terrain only works if you're outside of 2, but Magneto's rules for cover is not from cover from terrain. So no matter how close you are always within cover from attacks with that ability.
Correct. Magneto's cover is extremely strong.
Oh yeah, no, that is really really good. So yeah, thank you viewer for bringing that up. Absolutely correct.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to try to work our way through the rest of the Brotherhood and X-Men and then circle back to some of the folks in Defenders and Web Warriors we haven't touched on yet. Because we're excited for the X people.
We are. We are.
James, we are.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Get 'em off.